you.
All right. Sorry, I'm just about to board a flight.
Chaka, what time tomorrow? Let's get out of the way. Let's get that out of the way. What time tomorrow?
Tomorrow, what time did we do last week? 5:10?
Yeah.
So this week, 5:15.
Okay.
And tomorrow night, and what's the Shabbos? What we said? Shabbos over.
We said 9:10 maybe?
9:10, a little too early. 9, so let's go for 9:20.
You got it.
All right.
Jesse, so we asked when the year is Shabbos. Why don't you double up on it? Why don't you just sit there, you know?
Shir Shabbos is 6:15. 6:15 Shabbos. Okay, we ready? Yeah. He hit record, right? Yeah, he hit record.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, so we're on Chaf Beis Amud Aleph. So tonight's daf is first we get the Musar about who is considered what happens to a guy who doesn't get Shimush and Halacha. And then we talk about the women who are not proper, who mess up the world, and then we talk about the 7 type of men who are considered fruma, and that's basically it. Then we have the Mishnah that continues in the dinim of Sotah to Itmar. So we learned, let's say somebody learned and he read Mishnah, Kros Psukim, Shana is Mishnayis, and he was not Mishamash Tamid Chachamim, right? So that's what we left off yesterday. If somebody's not Mishamash Tamid Chachamim, then he can't, well, the Gemara is going to say many bad things about him. So let's say he has no Shibush. He's considered an Amoritz, right? And what does it mean? What are the ramifications of being an Amoritz? So Rashi says he's choshed on Meiser and Tahiris, right? Meaning we're choshed that he doesn't keep Tum properly, and he doesn't, and we don't trust that he took off Trumas. Well, really Meisters. Trumas they take off, right? Reb Shmuel Nachmani Amar is a bur. He's a bur. Rashi says bur is worse than an Amoritz, right? Meaning because he's not even. Pasha says he doesn't even care. Rav Yana Yamar is a kusi. Rav Yana says that he is considered a kusi, which means that he's not even considered a yid. Right? You can't even eat. Rashi says you can't eat his bread, you can't eat his yayin. Right? Rav Acha Bar Yaakov Yamar is a harez mogosh. He's like a guy that does kishuf. He's a guy that does kishuf. Right? Why? So because let's see, Amar Yitzchak Rav Nachman Yitzchak Mustavak Rav Acha Bar Yaakov, the Amri Inshi Rotten Magusha V'Lo Yodamai Omar. Magusha is just talk and they have no idea what they're saying. Right? Tonitana V'Lo Yodamai Omar. He doesn't know what he's saying, which I hate to say it, but how many of us when we daven and say slichas and all these things that we just do what we call lip service, right? Meaning if a guy just learns Psukim and Mishnayos, so he's saying he's just gonna say things. He's not going to hold on. He's not. I'm sorry. Yeah. Anyway, so he's just talking, and he doesn't have any idea what he's saying. Yeah. But meaning because if he just learns Psukim, just learns Mishnayos, he doesn't really understand the pshat. So he's sort of just like reading things. Fine. Who's an Amoritz? Anybody who doesn't read Kriya Shema by Ma'ariv and by Shachris with the brachas. That is interesting because if you look at Rashi, Rashi does not have with the brachas, right? Because what does the brachas have to do with anything, right? Meaning, if a guy doesn't read Kriya Shema, the way Rashi has it, Rashi does not have the gears of the brachas, right? And he's just saying, if a guy doesn't know how to read Kriya Shema, that means he doesn't know anything, right? If he doesn't put on tefillin, then he's considered an Amoritz. If he doesn't have tzitzis in his begodim, now that doesn't mean that he doesn't wear tzitzis. Right? Plenty of people don't wear tzitzis. Means he's not wearing he's wearing a four-cornered beged and he doesn't put tzitzis on it. Right? Yeah, and now the reason that some Mefarshim say that the reason why these last two is an Amor, it's because when you say Shema, you're supposed to be wearing tefillin because it talks about wearing tefillin, and it also talks about wearing tzitzis, right? So therefore, you're an Amoritz. If you don't understand what you're reading, not to have tefillin and tzitzis on when you read Shema, it just shows that you don't know what you're saying, you don't know what you're doing, right? What's interesting is Rebbe Kiva Eger says on those that wear tefillin on Chol HaMoed, on the first day Chol HaMoed, they should wear. Normally, you wear tefillin Chol HaMoed, you take them off after Kedusha. But the first day Chol HaMoed, they say to wear it because the first day Chol HaMoed is about tefillin. The laning is about the tefillin. So it would be a bizayin to wear your tefillin, to take off your tefillin when we're reading Kriyas HaTorah about tefillin. Okay.
Taking off Rashi's tefillin and saying like similar to that.
What? Oh, you have to take off Rashi. Well,
just saying, why is that? Anyway, I shouldn't. Open my mouth. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So you're talking about. Do we ever read tefillin during the? Do we ever read the parsha of tefillin during the week? That Rashi's tefillin wouldn't be on. You're right. The Litvish say that you should not take your tefillin shel Rashi off until after Uval Tzion at the minimum. That's because you need to have the how do you call it? The three kedushas with it. So if you take off your Rashis and put on Rabbeinu Tam, then you're missing the kedushas.
I think the Nusach Hari people do the same thing.
What after Uval Tzion?
I think so.
Yeah, you're supposed to do it after davening. You're supposed to do it after davening. Yeah. Fine. If you have children and you're not megadol to Torah, right? Which is again another thing in Shema, because it says, and you decide not to be megadol to Torah, so then you're also an amoritz. Even a guy who reads psukim, learns mishnayos, but he's not mishamash tamid chacham, he's also an amoritz, right? Which we already said. So okay, but that Shaila is exactly what he's adding to the mix there. Fine. If you read, like we said also above, if you read and you know what there, but above we said if you read it and you learn mishnayos and you don't do mishamash tamid chacham. Here it's if you read it and you don't learn mishnayos, you're a bur. Right, so which l'chara is a kol shekain. If you read mishnayos and you learn psukim and you're not mishamash tamid chacham, you're a bor. It's the kol shekain if you don't even learn mishnayos. Okay, those are ours. Yeah, loy kar v'loy shana. Let's say you don't read chumash and you don't even learn mishnayos. Allah v'kasavaymer v'zarati is beis Yisrael, is beis Yehuda, zera adam, zera behema, and I'm going to plant in for the bnei Yisrael. And the what is it called, the Beis Yehuda and the Beis Yisrael, right? The zera of man and the zera of behema, which means somebody who doesn't learn anything is considered like a behema, right? Somebody who doesn't learn, that's the way the Gemara is saying it. He's considered like a behema. Fine. Okay, now the Gemara continues with this. It says, Yeroas Hashem b'ni v'melech v'im shainim al tisarim. Right. So this is talking about Shlomo talking to Rechavam when Rechavam is going to take over for him. So he said, you should be a Yarei Hashem, and you should be the king, and Shainim you should not mix in. You shouldn't mix in with the Shainim. Now, exactly how do you type Shainim? So Rav Yitzchak, Elu Shainim halachas. He's saying, don't mix with the people that learn halachas, right? Which means that they're not mishamash tamid chachamim, right? And Memela, don't hang out with those guys because those guys are they're gonna be detrimental, like we've been saying. So Gemara says pshita, or it's pashit, right? So, which I'm not exactly sure why that's pashit. I don't know if I would have read it like that's what it means, shainim. But okay, but the Gemara thinks that that's pashit. So Ma the same shainin bechet. No, so you would have thought that what does shainim mean? Don't hang out with people who do a chet twice. Because the Rav Huna, and like the sheet of Rav Huna, the Amar Rav Huna, kivan she'avar adam avera v'shanaba, since a person does an avera, and he does it a second time, hutraloi, it becomes mutter to him. So you would think maybe that's who Shlomo is telling his son not to hang out with. Kamash Malon, that he's telling us that no, that it's talking about don't hang out with people who don't learn, don't have shimush. Okay. Trying to remember this. I don't remember a good joke about what happens if you do it 3 times and 4 times. Right? I think from the Alta maybe. I have it somewhere on my phone. I don't remember. If you do it 3 times, then it becomes. What does he say? Becomes
like a mitzvah. Becomes like a mitzvah or something.
Do it 3 times, the Avera becomes a mitzvah, right? And then the 4th time is somebody else is a 4th time, and then one of them is that if you do it a 5th time, it becomes a shita, right? So that okay, whatever it is.
Yeah, I heard a similar, not the same exact. Like somebody says, like in Allah is brought down. What are you supposed to do if you forget? Like Yal V'Yava in davening, and you have to repeat or whatever. It says, but it doesn't say if you forget it again, what you're supposed to do.
You mean if you twice?
If you forget it like a 2nd or 3rd time, it's like because they just gave up on a guy like
that. Yeah. Well, that's why we don't repeat Shema Esrei if we don't have kavanah in the first bracha b'zman hazeh. Right. All right. Let's see. The Tana.
Speaking of which, what happens if you do forget your Alvi? By
Marv, you're not supposed to repeat it. What do you mean?
Marv for Rosh Chodesh, you don't repeat. Yeah. I'm a halfway through Ma'ariv. I davened at a plug Svardi minion Ma'ariv, just Shema Esrei though. So I'm somewhere in the middle. Okay.
Does that count as not saying Shema with the brachas?
No, I hope they Shema with the brachas. I hope to remember to do that.
Tiago, is that like the Friday night Kabbalah Shabbos thing?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. Yeah. They even had a chazan by the Sephardi shul I was at. Mamish, Isaac Chazonis. I'm assuming it was for Rosh Chodesh. I guess.
It was a Moroccan shul?
I don't know what they were.
The Moroccans are big into that.
I hear. Okay. Anyway, so Hatanoim, those that just learn Tanoim, meaning Mishnayos, Mavale Olam, they mess up the whole world. So Gemara says Mavale Olam, a guy that learns Mishnayos is messing up the world. Amaravina Shemar and Halacha mitoich Mishnasam. No, what it means, obviously, there's nothing wrong with somebody learning Mishnayos. Mishnayos is a good thing. Just don't paskin from Mishnayos. You can't paskin from Mishnayos. Are they really messing up the world? Right? That's the halichas olam loy. That's what you do. Right? It says kol hashana halachas. Right? The whole world is in his fuss. Ela shemar and halacha mitoich mishnasa. What it means is that they're paskening the halacha from the mishnayos, which obviously anybody that learns knows you can't pasken anything from a mishnah. Fine. Isha prusha. So we said, what's an isha prusha? A woman that's considered too from. Yeah, so Tana Rabbanon, Basulat Slinis, Salionis, right? A woman a Basula, meaning a single girl who davens a lot, Va'amana Shaivis, and Almana, who Rashi says she's a very neighborly, she's shchenas, she goes around to she goes and she's visiting everybody. The katan shaloi kalu loy chadashim, and a katan whose months are not finished, hareilim avali. They're all mavali olam. So again, the first one is a single girl who davens a lot, an almana who runs around town, and then a katan who didn't finish his months. Okay, so I'm going to ask, it's not true. We could learn out Yiraschet from a basula. V'kibul schar me almana. We can learn about being makabel schar from an almana. Why? Yiraschet me basula. The Rabbi Yochanan shama lahi basula. Rabbi Yochanan heard a basula. The nafla apa, who was falling on her face. For Ka'amr, and she said, Rabbanu Shalom, Barasa Gan Eden, Barasa Gehenna. You created both Gan Eden and Gehenna. Barasa Tzadikim, Barasa Rishayim. You created good people, and Rashi says to get Gan Eden, and you created Rishayim to get Gehenna. Yiratzim l'fanecha shelo yikashlu bi b'nei Adam. It should be Hashem's will that people shouldn't be nichshel in me. Right? So that's that type of woman that davens like that is Yiraschet. You see the Yiraschet that she has, right? Which is also interesting because if anybody says the Yehiratzim before they learn, right? It's in the Yehiratzim before we learn, right? That nobody should be nichshol that we have to say. So you see that there's a big Indian that people shouldn't be nichshol. So she's davening for that. So the Gemara is very pro that tefillah. Kibul schar me'almana, and to get schar from almana, the almana to havi beiknishta b'shivavusei, there was an almana that went to who had a basic knesses in her shul, in her shivavusei, in her community. Kol yom ahavas asu matzah be'mejosh Rabbi Yochanan, but she went to go daven in Rabbi Yochanan's shul. Right, so Amar Allah biti like basic knesses b'shivavusei. Is there no shul in your town? Amar Le Rebbe v'loy schar psiyas yesh lei. Do I not get schar psiyas by walking far? Right. So you see that you can learn out schar from this woman, this almana who walked far away. So it's very interesting because Lamaisa, the halacha is like that. The halacha is you're supposed to go to the far shul. I mean, that's
men or women?
Men, even men. Many people are.
That's what I thought.
Tiago, we have this every week.
Correct, parents. How many shuls you walk?
Tiago, no, your mother goes to a different shul, Tiago. She has one in her house.
That's true, Taka. Right, that's true. Yeah. It's a big shiloh also. What about Ein Mavir and Ala Mitzvahs? She's walking past her community shul. Ein Mavir and Ala Mitzvahs. Right? Okay, that's a shiloh that the Mefarshim also deal with. So it's not happening at the same exact time, etc., etc. So I'm not exactly sure why she's such a chiddush if the halacha really says this. I don't remember if it's a Shulchan Aruch or Mishnah Berurah brings it, a Magen Avram. I think the Magen Avram for sure brings it, right? So anyways.
Rich, she doesn't want people to talk that she's davening by you and not by Aaron, so that's why she leaves.
Is it tzaddik?
Except she goes to IFR, so it's like this.
I don't know. I don't know where ladies go to shul. I have no idea.
Yeah. So, anyways, but the point is, the Gemara is that you see that you could learn out from a girl that davens a lot and from an almana that runs around town that there's good things. So what does the Gemara mean that it's bad? No, what we're talking about is Yochani Bas Rativi, right? Which Rashi has a whole shtick of what she did. She was a real gangster. This lady, she knew how to do kishuf, and she would do some sort of thing that would make it that the baby would not be born from the woman, that the baby would just stay in the uterus and not come out, and then they would come to her. Or she would offer to daven for them, and all she would do is reverse the curse or whatever it is, and then the baby would be born. So everybody thought she was like this great tzaddikas, but really she was rigging the system from the first place, right? So that's the type of lady that shouldn't mean she walked around looking like she was the frummest, and really she was a scam artist. So that's what the Gemara is referring to, which is very interesting. We need to tell you not to be like that lady, right? So okay. Or whatever, but that's the Gemara's teretz. Fine. My katan shaloi kololei chadashim. What does it mean, a katan whose months have not finished? So hacha targimu. Here they were targiming zeh talmid chacham, meaning here in Bavel zeh talmid chacham and mavad b'rabboso. It's a talmid chacham who basically kicks. Mavad literally means to kick. He kicks his rebbeim, meaning he doesn't show respect to his rebbeim. Rabbi Abba Amar zeh talmid shaloi higia lo'ira u'moira. This is talking about. Meaning, so the Mela, since he doesn't have respect, so his life gets shortened. So the Mela, Kololei Chadashav, means that his months are over. Rav Abba Amar zeh Talmud shleigil lo hira u'moira. It's talking about a Talmud Chacham who didn't reach hira and he's paskening. So Amar Rav Abba Amar Rav Huna Amar Rav Ma'idaf Sib Ki Rabim Chalalam Epila Vatzum Mekol Hariga. What does it mean? It means that how many people that Chalalam Epila mean? How many dead people did you do? Right. And how strong is everybody that he killed? So that's really talking about somebody doing killing, right? But what we're learning is kirabim chalalim epila. What we're learning out the agadah from this Gemara is zeh talmud chacham shaloi higia lahira umayra. It's a talmud chacham who didn't reach hira and he teaches, right? Memela, he's misguiding people because he's not holding by paskening. Right, so Mamela, he's causing people to do something wrong. Batsum kol harugea, and all the people that she killed is how strong is that? Meaning the strong people that were killed. That's also a Talmud Chacham that reaches Zaira and he doesn't paskin, because then there's many people that are left hanging without him answering any questions, right? So Mela, you got to make sure you're in the right zone. You can't paskin too early. Can't paskin too early, and you can't. And when you know how to paskin, you can't not paskin.
See, Yaakov, I heard that with the Yashiv, he refused to paskin until I think it was the Chazon Ish was nifter, and then he decided he had to paskin. But he held Kolzman. Kolzman, there was somebody else there. He didn't need to go ahead and become a placer.
That's that's interesting. Yeah,
I don't know the Chazon Ish. It was one of the people that was nifter. It was the Stipe, but Chazon Ish one of them.
Those are the ones you want paskening. Right? Yeah. Right. So that's what the Gemara is saying. Like basically what you're saying, Vad Kama, on Talmud Beis now, Vad Kama. What age is that? Arba'in Shnein, until you're 40 years old. When you're 40 years old, that's when you know enough.
He might have been 40 when the Chazon Ish was nifta.
Right. Was he? 60. Right. See, it's interesting because you 40 years old. Taisva says he has to learn for 40 years. Taisva has a different shot. Not 40 years old, 40 years. You have to learn for 40 years first. Now, I don't know what is elementary school considered learning, not learning. I don't know. The Gemara asks, yes, someone says, Aini, it's not true, but Rava Paskin before he was 40. Now we know that because Rava was only a Rabba, I'm sorry. What's it? We change it to it's Rava, right? I mean it's Rava, but meaning he was only 40 years old when he was Nifter. And he Paskin. So Gemara says Beshavin, when he's equal to everybody in that community, to the Gedolim, then he can Paskin. Shilas, who's the one to decide that? Right? Who's the one to yeah.
I assume that sometimes it's obvious. The Shach was printed by the time he was 21.
True. That is true. It doesn't. I mean, that was his safer. It doesn't mean that.
They had to be.
18, right?
Yeah, but it's a very important, right? But it's a good thing you brought that up, Gash, because it's an important thing to know. Most of the things that we're paskening nowadays are not psak. Anything that's written in a sefer, Shulchan Aruch, right? Because there are those that said you shouldn't. The Marsha, Reb Dov Lachman sent it to me today, right? The Marsha says you shouldn't pasken Shulchan Aruch. The Marsha Bechlal was anti-Shulchan Aruch when it came out, right? But he says you can't pasken Shulchan Aruch because you don't know. You're just reading, right? Going back to what it said on the previous summit. Right, but the Pais can say now that we have Shach and Taz and Pischei Tshuva and Mefarshim and all that explains to you the sources. So then it's much more. Those things don't apply anymore. So whatever. Most of the psukim that are being given are not psukim. They're just somebody who has the information is giving like my wife calls me an information kiosk. That's what I am. That's all I am. That's all.
You bring this up occasionally. You brought this up recently in Nazir.
Yeah.
You asked if you could drink, whether you could drink in Paskin.
All right. Okay. Then we said Makas Prushin. So we said that there's Makas of the 7 people that, the Gemara is going to say that there's 7 people. So Makas Prushin means the Makkah from people that are Prushim. They ruin the world, right? So Tanraban and Shiva Prushin, there's 7 people that they're Prushim, but they're really not legit. Parash Shichmi, Parash Nikvi, Parash Kizoi, Parash Meduchai, Parash Machai Vasi, Ve'asena, Parash Me'ava, Parash Me'yira. Okay, so those are the 7. We're going to go through them now. Parash Shichmi, does it from Maisa. Why? Because Shchem did a bris. They thought they made it look like they're doing a mitzvah and they're doing it for legit. And the only reason they did it was so that they can get to marry the Shvatim's kids. Parash Nikvi is Zehamenakif Ezraglov. He puts his feet together, meaning he's trying to look like he's humble. So the way he walks is he puts his heel by his toes, and he walks that way, right? And he's like in knocking his feet into the ground, right? and he's doing it to look like an onav, but really what he is he's a faker. Parosh kizoi, that's somebody who bloodlets. Amar Rav Nachman, Yitzchak zeh hamakis dam l'ksalim. That's somebody who keeps drawing blood with walls, meaning he's looking down because he wants to show how tznuah he is, and he keeps walking into the wall, so he ends up bleeding. Right? So that guy's also not legit. Parosh, yeah. What's parosh miduchya? So Amar Rav Rashila, the meshapa ki miduchya. What he does, he bends himself over like a meduchya. Meduchya is like, what do you call it? A mortar and a pestle. Right, so it's a little bent over, so it looks like he's always bent over. So that guy's also you're not supposed to be. Meaning, basically, what it's saying is nothing in the extreme. Anybody that's in the extreme is chashud. Anybody that's doing anything out of the norm is chashud. Right, that's basically what the Gemara is saying.
Presumably, it means someone who skips to that stage, someone who gets there through Derech Avodas Hashem. That would be something else.
No, that's. Somebody has to judge it, right? When I was in yeshiva, they said about the Amshanover, right? Rabbaran, if you want to hear stories, Rabbaran will give you stories about the Amshanover's davening and the time, right? He davened shachas middle of the night, whatever. It's wild, the Amshanover, right? So quoted, I have no idea if this is a true quote or not. They quote B'Shem Rabbi Yashiv that the Amshanover should get patched. The only problem is nobody big enough to give it to, right? Right? That's what they say. So when you have somebody who big Gedolim, you got to be careful who's going to judge him. But this is stam. If somebody seems a little bit off, then you watch out. That's basically what it's saying.
Yeah, but there's levels. The Rabbi Sharieli, right? When he was a kid, he saved every penny he had, so that every time he had to go through Yafo or the Shuk or something, he took a taxi instead of walking or the bus. That kind of prusha, that's good.
That's not anything that's visible. That's not visible. That's visible. People that makes you stand out. So we say this all the time. There's tznius by men too. Right? There's such a musig of tznius by men, not just by women. Comes out, right, that women, in the Gemara by Dezara, a woman is not allowed to walk with her foot to her heel either because it makes her look attractive. Right?
Right. We had that, yeah.
Dezara. So it comes out that men can't walk that way. Walk that way. So they both have the same din. Most of it's tznius, and man has as much as a woman has. Right?
Was there a Maisa with a Roman general? He saw two frum girls walking.
Yeah, we had that Maisa.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Very good. Okay. So now this next one, I think this is number 5. If he's a parish and he says, "What's my chayv and I'm going to do it." Now, what's wrong with that guy? I wish everybody that my family especially, tell me what to do and I'll do it. Yeah, right. So that's a good thing. So Gemara asks, "Hamal Yusi." That's a good thing. What more is there for me to do and I should do it? Meaning I'm done. I'm the greatest. That guy's no good. It just shows the nuances, how you can mamish write a sentence and you can learn it one way and it can mamish in the other way. Right? Fine. Next one is Parush Me'ava, Parush Me'yira. Somebody who's a Parush from love and from Yira. Right? Meaning from loving Hashem. Right? So now that doesn't mean can't be loving Hashem because that's what you're supposed to. That's the ultimate. So Rashi means Me'ava schar ha-mitzvahs. It's a very important Rashi, I think, even though Marchuk's not on, but it's an important Rashi. Parash me'ava schar ha-mitzvahs loy la'avas mitzvahs ha-boirei. Right? You have to do the mitzvahs for the mitzvahs ha-boirei. That's not what we're talking about here. And Yiraz, he's afraid of punishment. Right? Question is, how many of us are doing the mitzvahs from Ava? Right? You know what I mean? We're saying we didn't learn Musa tonight, so this is covering the Musa. We have to know for ourselves what's going on with ourselves. Anyway, so I'm relaying Abaye Rav Latana. Leisisni Parash Mi'ava Parash Mira. Don't put that one in the rest of them. Why? A person should learn Torah and do mitzvahs. Afilu shaloi lishma, even not lishma shemitay. Shaloi lishma balishma, because if you're going to do it shaloi lishma, eventually you'll come around, right? So therefore, do the mitzvahs. You can't call a guy Ava of the Schar and the Yira as a guy that's a bad guy. He's not the ultimate, but he's headed in the right direction. Which Taisus already asks that if you do a mitzvah for Taisus here, the third Taisus from the bottom, asks from all the other places in Shas where it says that anybody that does a mitzvah in order to get reward is no good. So basically what Tosfos says here and in Brachas says that it's talking about where he does the mitzvahs in order to get somebody. Meaning a guy that's learning because he wants the knowledge in order to slug people up, right? That's not proper. That's not proper, right? If you're just learning it because you want the schar, then that's okay. Fine. The mitamra, what's hidden is hidden, or the megala, what's not hidden, what's open is open, right? Beitina rabba l'spara mehani dechafu gundi. Meaning you could hide things, you could be megala things, but the bottom line is there's a great big bezdin up there, right? Lispara is gonna take payment mehani dechafu gundi from those people that wear these coats, right? Meaning tzitzis shaloi lishma. Meaning if you're a faker, it might work in this world, it ain't gonna work in the next world. Fine. Now the Gemara says one last mice. So Amar Yanai Malkalu Devise. Yanai said to his wife, Al tisari min aprushin. Right? We're talking about Yanai, who was a Russia, right? He was from the Chashmonaim, right? And he decided he was the Melech and the Kohen Gadol, and he became an apikoros, and he killed all the Gedolim, and he saved. Who did he save? Who did he leave over?
Was it Baba Ben Buta?
Well, no, somebody more. Whatever, he left over one. Shimon Shetach? I don't remember.
Wasn't that the brother-in-law of the? No, I think it was Baba Ben Buta. He blinded him, right?
Yeah, something like that. But anyways, so he was a Russia, and then when he was about to die, he told his wife who to be careful from. Right? So I'm trying to appreciate. Don't be afraid of the Prussian. The Prussian were meaning the legit ones. I mean, they wanted to kill him, right? Because he killed out all the Chachamim. Right? And don't be scared of the people who are not Prussian because they like me, meaning Yana is saying element are tzivuin, but from the people that are tzivuin, I think it comes from the word from dye, from the word color. Shadaim the Prussian, they compare themselves to Prussian. Shemasein kemaisa Zimri, their maisim are like Zimri, meaning they're mezana, umavakshin schar ke Pinchas, but they want schar like Pinchas. They didn't even start ordering. Isn't that 10? Oh, it's G? Oh, I thought F. Oh, shoot. Okay. I thought I didn't. I'm in the wrong. They changed the thing. I thought my wife said G10, but for F10, it's G10, which is a different terminal. All right. I better get out of here.
Okay,
all right.
Bye. Have a safe flight. Okay.
That's great.
We better hustle until you got to get moving.
Good luck catching it.
Parents was Miami Airport.
I just heard the rabbi say, "Oh F."
You would, Parrot. You would.
The recording is.
Parents decided to keep the record on before that.
Yeah,
maybe your mother will start
stick,
talking about you now, Taka. He was in Miami Airport.
Sounds like it. That's where it's
a pretty big place.
Yeah, that's the only one that has G and F over there. As I said, it's a big thing. You better start hustling.
What time is it? 9 o'clock flight?
Yeah.
What time did Shir start?
8 o'clock.
Oh, wow. Well, that explains why.
But he told us
typical
Rackaman, we keep you off it on purpose.
Yeah, I got it.
Rackaman, nothing personal, don't you know?
No kidding. Yeah,
don't worry, we do
personal.
the same thing to Gershon. Don't worry. Aaron is the host of the WhatsApp. He selectively deletes certain people at certain times.
And I put him back on when I need to.